Hey guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to another Satanic Panic video. And this time I would like to present this. So this is Skullduggery, a 1983 movie which also goes under the titles Warlock and Blood Puzzle. And it's seen as an anti-D&D Satanic Panic movie. Although, on watching through it, I don't really see it that way, because it seems far more of a standard horror movie. While they do play a Dungeons & Dragons-like game in it, it's not responsible for what's going on. There appears to be real magic within the movie, and that's responsible. Now, while people can talk about Dungeons & Dragons teaching people real magic and all that kind of stuff, that's not the element in this. It's that real magic exists, power from the devil is cursing people, but instructions are being relayed through Dungeons & Dragons. It has no power itself. And one of the big signs of this is that the story actually starts here. So the movie starts with a warlock and his apprentice, I guess, because they never really detail the connection between the two characters, but they're not in it much, so it doesn't really matter. And they're poisoning an apple by inserting a poison needle into it, and pledging themselves to the devil in the form of a harlequin-like puppet.
Spirit of evil, dedicating ourselves to thee, we give thanks.
They then go into a king or lord's chamber, again we're never really detailed out who these people are, and kill his guards.
Shall buy the armor from Italy.
Power is now in these hands, Adam.
And apparently the king or lord, whoever he is, has been using the warlock's power to gain influence, but has betrayed the warlock. So the warlock's come here to get revenge, and he forces him to take a bite of an apple, allowing him a chance of eating an unpoisoned one or the one they poisoned. And he chooses poorly, and dies.
Whilst I and my evil powers live on, I demand the conditions of our agreement be met, and I claim the soul of your unborn child, and I cast the spell on him and his offspring for generations to come. Diabolus me adjuvet, so the devil help me.
And so he curses the Lord's bloodline. So all of the Lord's descendants will owe this debt to the warlock and to his master, the devil. And that's what this movie's really about. This curse that's been passed down and a descendant repaying it to the devil. It has very little to do with Dungeons & Dragons, unless they're insinuating Dungeons & Dragons was around in 1382.
Oh, what a win!
And so we move to modern day, or 1982's version of modern day at least. We become up to date. And we're introduced to the two main characters of the movie. First of all, we've got Adam, who works in a costume shop, a fancy dress shop, which will become relevant later. And his girlfriend, Barbara, who works as a nurse, which will also become relevant later. But one of the first things I'd like to draw attention to is that Barbara is played by Wendy Crewson, who is also the main female lead in Mazes and Monsters, the Tom Hanks movie that I've also covered. So there were two main Satanic Panic movies out in the early 80s, and Wendy Crewson was the main lead in both. Now, while she's gone on to an illustrious career, she's been in lots of big movies since. But I find it really odd that she was the go-to girl for Satanic Panic movies. Now, as they walk onto his work, because he's due to start soon, which is the fancy dress shop, which happens to be owned by her father, so there's a family connection there as well. They start having a discussion because she remarks on a strange event that happened to her during the day, where she was handling a scalpel at the hospital and she saw it becoming a dagger in her hand, something from their game. And he remarks that strange things have been happening to him in a similar vein.
It's hard to say where the game begins or life ends. Sometimes I feel like one of those figurines on the board.
So they eventually get to his work, and this is where we run into one of the problems with the movie as it stands, because it can't decide on a tone. So far in the movie we've had murders, we've had poisonings, we've had satanic curses, we've had interactions with the devil, we've had people suffering from delusions where they're confusing a game for real life, and now we get wacky characters.
Mr. Sluzachuk, how do I look?
Good. You look good, Mrs. Sullivan. But you need a little tiara to make the image more regal. Barbara and Adam will help you find a suitable one.
And I don't know whether you noticed in the background there that there was a man wearing a jumpsuit with a noughts and crosses board on the back, a tic-tac-toe, whatever you want to call it, crosses and O's. And he walked on and it was blank. He left the screen for a moment, came back, and the centre place was filled in with a cross. And throughout the movie, this guy crops up in the background, with more and more of this noughts and crosses game filled out on the back of his jumpsuit, without it ever being explained.
Sorry, are we set to go?
And so we reach their first game session. They play in the basement of the fancy dress shop, and their games master comes in, as do a bunch of other players. But I don't know whether you noticed, but on the wall of where they're playing is the satanic puppet, so the devil is watching over them as they play their role-playing game.
Okay, it's your turn. Roll, Adam.
Okay.
What character you want to be?
I want to play the warlock.
Great choice, Adam.
So they're kicking off with some character creation, and Adam's asking to play a warlock, in the most creepy-ass way I've ever seen. But he's chosen his character class, and now we're going to see him rolling up his stats.
You got 180 IQ. 12 common sense. 18 stamina.
And a 7 charisma. That's the highest score I've ever seen. You couldn't have done much better than that, Adam.
So he got a 180 IQ and a 7 charisma, and Barbara's amazed at the 7 charisma, the highest she's ever seen. What the hell standard are these stats on? What scale are they working on?
Did anybody see that red light?
What red light?
Forget it. Just forget it.
And so Adam starts to see things, a blinking red light in one of the model towers around them. But he doesn't go over and have a look.
Now I am the warlock. Diablos me adjuve.
And so Adam notices the satanic puppet, which reacts to him by falling off the wall. But this, I guess, is showing that by taking up the character class of warlock, he is fulfilling the curse that was put on his bloodline hundreds of years before.
Look at him. The guy's nuts.
Dave, your turn to roll.
But the puppet didn't actually fall. But realistically enough, he gets nothing but abuse and sarcasm from his gaming buddies. So they've got that down pat for role-playing. And so we are introduced to an evil figure in a darkly lit room with a smoke machine in it, doing the world's easiest jigsaw. There's got to be, what, 7, 8 pieces in that? That's a real kid's jigsaw. But anyway, he's putting the pieces in place as his master plan takes part. But what's got to be borne in mind is that this is apparently happening concurrently with the game, which will become relevant at the very, very end of the movie.
Barbara, what are you doing under the table?
I've got a rash on my ankle, and it's itching. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I get an itch sometimes, too, but not my ankle, and I know how to cure it.
You're a pig.
And so we're back at the game, and Barbara's having an itchy ankle. She's got a rash down there, which I thought was relevant to the plot, that she was going to be becoming a scaly-skinned demon, or the evil was going to be coming out of her. No, it's not relevant at all. It's mentioned a few other times, but it's nothing to do with the plot at all.
All right, let's wrap up the game.
Chuck, can't you use some other finger, like maybe the middle one?
Holy smoke! I hope you're not barbecuing my daughter.
And so the game wraps up. But Barbara's father reminds Adam that he's got to take part in providing the costumes for a local talent contest, which is an opportunity to introduce more wacky characters.
I don't believe it. No dress rehearsal. This low-budget crap wouldn't buy a bag of bird shit.
If this is what it's like for starving artists, I swear to God, I'm going to IBM tomorrow.
And among the characters we're introduced to is a magician, who appears to do real magic. We see him summon up food on the counter there. It doesn't appear to be a trick, it seems to be real magic. Because, as we see, he appears to be the devil. Because the puppet is also seen at the talent contest, and this magician in it seemed to swap places from time to time. So the devil never went down to Georgia, he went to a talent contest. And we get the return of the boiler-suited man, and another mark has been made on the game going on his back. But he's perving through the keyhole into the girl's dressing room, who the security guard then replaces, ushering him away and perving himself looking through the keyhole. But the devil doesn't seem to like that. And then we get several minutes of the talent show. It stretches out where we get the compere coming in and he drops his cards and makes some terrible jokes. And then we get the devil character, this magician, coming on and doing some very basic magic. And the talent show goes on and on. It's far more about this talent show than it's been about role-playing so far.
Where the hell is that goddamn yo-yo who plays Piccolo?
I don't know, maybe he's in the cafeteria.
Adam, you'll have to save my ass. Here, throw this costume on and get on stage, and I'll tell you what to do in a second. Don't worry, it's not a speaking part.
And so Adam is drafted in to play a role in the talent contest, because somebody else is missing. So he's asked to dress up in this medieval armour, which will involve him carrying a bow and a sword.
I'd rather die.
You got it, Pops.
And so as part of the performance, where he's standing there silently watching on, he sees a king or lord assassinated in a similar fashion to his ancestor was.
What the hell?
Jesus, Bob, check the fuse box.
And so behind the scenes, he encounters the magician, who might be the devil, the puppet, who also might be the devil, and we see the character, the mysterious figure, continuing to build his very simple jigsaw, and he might be the devil as well. And under the influence of the satanic influences around him and the vision he's seen of his ancestor dying, he begins to stalk one of the women taking part in the talent contest. And so he tries to kill her with his sword, and fails. And then he tries to use his bow, but hits a mirror reflection of her instead. But what the hell kind of costume is this, where you get a real sword and a real bow? While it's historically accurate because these are real weapons, it seems a little dangerous to rent these out to people. And then we get 7 more minutes of talent performances, followed by Adam giving a girl an oil massage, which is apparently of enough importance that we get another piece played of the world's easiest jigsaw puzzle. Then Adam goes up on stage where somebody is doing a Garden of Eden based performance.
Diablos me adjuve.
Where Eve eating the apple gives Adam a vision of his ancestor eating the apple that poisoned him, and he casts a spell on her which causes her to die of a heart attack.
There was an 18-year-old girl going into convulsions and dying of a heart attack before my very eyes. I'm a nurse and there was nothing I could do about it.
And Barbara is distraught over not being able to save the girl and the girl dying in front of her, even though Barbara is a nurse. She then goes on to speak about having déjà vu, knowing places before she enters them, and Adam agrees that he's undergoing the same thing. So she advises him to go and see a psychiatrist, which he thinks is bunk and refuses to go. So Barbara has an idea.
Adam, wait. I have an idea. I know a fortune teller. No, really, I do. And I've been to her before, so I know she's good. So what do you say? Is it worth $20 to you?
I don't know.
Well, how do we look?
Very realistic. You should go to Hollywood. The walk will do you good.
You're so funny.
So instead of convincing him to go and see a psychiatrist for the thing that I point out both of them are going through, she tells him to go and see a fortune teller instead. A matter of such importance that we get another scene of the world's easiest jigsaw puzzle getting filled in. But Adam goes on to the fortune teller, and pays by cheque because she demands to be paid first of all, and we get a thrilling scene of her filling in his driving licence details onto the back of the cheque to make sure she gets paid.
May I see your driver's license?
But eventually she gets around to a tarot reading and draws out cards, and of course gets the death card, and declares,
"Your life is a puzzle only the devil can solve.
So he kills her, but suddenly there's a noise from behind him.
Hold it! Hands above your head. Now! Don't move.
But it turns out to be just a movie playing on a television behind him. So we flick on to the next game.
We are two wild and crazy knights. Wah, wah, wah. Where are the maidens?
Will you sit down and play, you wishful studs? You know what they say? Dog that barks never bites.
All right.
So, after the usual joshing around before a game, they settle down and the Games Master declares what their mission is for the session.
I have a new scenario for you. There is a girl somewhere near who is gaining enormous powers. A high-level sorcerer wants to hire you to kill her.
Who is she?
A sorceress dressed in white.
Like a bride.
Or a nurse? Maybe her?
No, she's one of us. And anyway, Barbara is a magic nymph. This sorcerer will offer 100,000 pieces of gold to find the white-clad woman and kill her. Adam, you are right behind her. You want to drop back one step.
So, they've to kill a white-clad woman. In the game, it's to be a sorceress. But it's insinuated that in the real world it could be a bride, or like Barbara, it could be a nurse. It's also insinuated that Adam's the one that's going to do the deed.
I guess.
So the next day, Adam goes to the hospital and follows a nurse inside, with obvious murder in his mind. But this is where the film goes through another one of those tonal shifts. We've had the comedy characters, but now we get a sort of teen sex comedy stuff going on.
Doctor, please, don't. Stop, don't stop. Don't stop. Oh, Doctor, you're the best. In this room at this time.
Where the usually peaceful Trottleville has been hit by two sudden and unexplained deaths in the past 2 days. The first was an 18-year-old girl who died of a heart attack on stage during a junior college theatrical performance. Madame Kardosh, the established fortune teller, also died of heart failure. Neither party had a history of heart ailments. Therefore, autopsies and further investigations will continue. Based on conflicting testimonies, homicide is suspected, but there is no conclusion.
So after apparently having sex with a doctor, this nurse is being approached from behind. Is it Adam gonna kill her?
If you have any information, phone 921.
Doctor, you scared the wits out of me.
And that was Prince. Trottleville's Peg Heckler defeated Anne
Until next time, sweetheart.
No, it's the doctor dressed as a gorilla for some reason. Because Adam is elsewhere, still stalking a nurse. But the nurse knows she's being stalked in a very, very red corridor. This looks more like a hotel than a hospital. I've never been in a hospital corridor this colour.
Sure beats Valium, don't it, Doctor?
Excuse me. I didn't know.
Angel, I told you those Havanas are gonna eat you alive.
So Adam searches for her, but finds the gorilla-dressed doctor having sex with another nurse, and then we get this workman in the overalls with the ongoing tic-tac-toe game on his back. But Adam kills again, but off camera.
Dr. Chatsworth, Dr. McSteen, Dr. Watt.
Are you hurt?
Just my ego.
And as he leaves the hospital, he slips and falls, but a nurse takes pity on him and invites him back to her place to take off his trousers so she can tidy them up for him.
Since I'm ironing, I might as well do my uniform.
So she slips her nurse's uniform off and starts flirting with him in her underwear. But he spurns her advances and just asks for his clothes, so she decides to take it to a roleplay of a different type.
Let's pretend that I'm the mummy and you're the good little boy. Now, Mummy will take good care of her good little boy. She'll cover him up with his big white blanket, and she'll play with him underneath this big white blanket.
But this is taking things too far for him, so he attacks her, attempting to murder her, and she flees the house. He grabs a weapon off a wall and chases after her, hunting her down into a graveyard nearby. He throws his weapon at her, but misses.
Diablos me adjuvant.
Memory of our beloved Peter shall remain with us forever. Slim shit. I thought they forecast sunny weather.
Forever and ever. Amen.
So he casts magic to upset a nearby funeral, and then magically transforms back into the outfit he was wearing during the talent performances? So he tracks her down through the graveyard and kills her with his sword. And then we're back to the game.
Wait a minute, why don't we finish the scenario we started last time? What is that?
That is the proof that I've accomplished my task. I took care of the white sorceress, thereby eliminating her enormous powers.
Really? Did you have a good time doing it?
We should all be paid 100,000 gold pieces now.
What's wrong with you, man? Why don't you wake up?
What is this?
That is a swatch of material I took from the sorceress's gown.
And Adam provides evidence that he's completed their mission. He's killed the white-clad woman.
Adam, this is not funny.
You tore her breast pocket, you sleazoid.
So the torn piece of fabric turns out not to be from one of the two murdered nurses' uniforms. It's from Barbara's pocket. So it looks as if Adam's making all this up. It's part of his delusion. But we've seen on television reports reporting on the dead girl from the talent show and the dead fortune teller, that they're both being investigated by the police. So why is the movie trying to tell us that this might not be real, that this is fantasy?
Oh, hello. May I help you?
I hope so. I need a costume for a party tonight. I'm looking for something chic, revealing, but not vulgar and not too contemporary. Do you know what I mean?
But upstairs there's a woman wanting an outfit for a costume ball. which is another piece of the puzzle slotting in for the unseen figure.
All right. Let's get on with the new session. Barbara, you still got that rash?
Hey, Adam, you gonna butcher some chicken this session, too? Well, maybe you could prove it by bringing us some white and dark meat.
Enough.
And rather oddly, back in the game, Adam's friends think he is actually admitting to murder, but they just don't believe him.
You are challenged by the Apostles of Hell.
What do they want?
You've been asked to leave the castle.
And if I don't?
They'll kill you.
So what are they up to in general?
They are trying to enlist new members in order to gain more power.
How can we recognize them?
This is their sign.
So how do we handle them?
Slay them violently, one after another.
And if we don't?
They'll do it to you.
Who's their leader?
The devil himself.
Where can we find them?
At the Villa Evil.
How do I get in?
Say, Skullduggery.
And it just so happens that the woman who is getting the costume left her ticket for the ball, which happens to be held at Villa Evil, the exact same place where they've just been told to go and kill the Apostles of Hell.
Your invitation, please.
So Adam goes to Villa Evil. I can't believe I'm saying that name. But using the ticket he got off the lady customer and the password he got off his games master, Skullduggery, he gets in.
Welcome, Mr. Burton. I'm Dr. Evil.
And inside, he's met by Dr. Evil, who gives him a costume and sets him on his merry way, butchering the people attending the party. Killing one of the guests in the kitchen. And then he dons a chef's hat and puts her body in the oven, of course. When he returns to the party, Dr. Evil gets him to change into another outfit and draws his attention to a ballerina that's performing. He pairs the two of them up, and Adam takes her down into the basement.
Diablos me adjuvat.
Where he melts her face with a steam pipe. He then returns to the party for another outfit change.
Put the apple down. Now. Just come with me. Quietly. See the door.
He grabs another girl at knife point and drags her away while being ignored by her friends for some reason. But she manages to escape, so he has to pursue her through the house. When he's dealt with her, he returns to the party once again in another outfit change, but for some reason, Dr. Evil asks him to perform for the crowd.
I need an assistant. Perhaps you, my lady.
He takes the assistant and flees once again, and finally the partygoers realise there's something going on.
Give me the police.
A matter of such importance, the final piece of the puzzle gets put in place. So the police arrive and are swift into action.
Chief, I found the killers.
Precisely, Watson.
And one of the police, the junior one, is called Watson, of course.
If that's your real name.
This man is not the killer.
He's got blood all over him.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
It isn't blood. It's ketchup.
So as we know, they've got the wrong guy. But fortunately, Dr. Evil has some useful information for them.
I happen to know who the murderer is.
And how do you know?
He left his business card in the dressing room.
And as the police react to that, we get one last appearance of the Noughts and Crosses guy, and apparently the game was a stalemate. And with that, we've finished with everything at Villa Evil, because across town the police are reacting to having Adam's address, and turning up to the costume shop.
We know you're in here, Adam Burton. Come out with your hands above your head and surrender.
Adam uses the rows of costumes to sneak around and hide from the police, and even manages to ambush one of them, taking them out. When the rest of the cops find out, they swear vengeance.
I'll get him even if I have to go to hell.
Oh my God.
But Adam emerges wearing a set of plate mail armour. But plate mail armour, especially that found in a costume shop, isn't much use against modern firearms, and the police gun him down.
Holy cow.
But when they search the armour, it's the devil puppet there. It wasn't Adam all along.
This is impossible. I mean, how the hell could he vanish into thin air? And there's other crazy stories. What's going on here?
In the days afterwards, his friends meet up to game again, but nobody knows what's happened to Adam. So in his seat they put the empty set of plate mail armour to take his place.
Don't forget that Adam was a warlock of the First Order of Power, or possessed by the devil.
Oh, come on, Chuck, you can't be serious. You don't believe this crap. It's just a game. I don't believe he's gone.
His friends can't understand what went on. What happened to Adam? It's obviously not part of the game to them, because it's just a game.
We shall give Adam one final honor. He shall play this game with us one more time. Now, all the figurines are on neutral territory. We start all over again. And we shall let Adam throw for the first character. We shall make an exception. This one time. He is still with us. He is present. I can feel it.
So they put some dice in the armour's hand. They tip it over to roll the 3d6, and they come up 666. And the armour lunges at the Games Master, stabbing him, revealing that the Games Master was Dr. Evil all along. What? And so that is Skullduggery. That's the end of the movie. Now, did that make any sense to you whatsoever? Because it didn't make any sense to me. As a movie, the tonal shifts are the major flaw I see with it, where it's going around being about a serial killer who's tracking down women and killing them, but then we've got wacky costume people, we've got all these crazy characters at the talent show, and we've got the whole stuff at the hospital where it becomes a sex comedy. We've got the nurse having sex with the doctor who's dressed as a gorilla, and the nurse luring Adam home to try and have sex with him. Just tonal shifts are ridiculous. But then we've got all the unanswered bits. The noughts and crosses guy, what was that all about? The jigsaw, we were never told what that was about. Although I drew a conclusion that it's about the pieces of the plot coming together. But it's never explained. We've got Barbara's itchy legs. We're never told what's going on with that. The film is an absolute mess. But as a Satanic Panic movie about the dangers of Dungeons & Dragons and role-playing, it really has nothing to say at all. While the games master, who is apparently Satan and running the game, you can sort of make accusations that role-playing games are organised by Satan, I suppose. But he could just be telling Adam stories. There's nothing about the role-playing game itself which affects anybody else, unless Barbara's itchy legs are part of that. But again, we're not told anything about that. The film is an absolute disaster, and it really doesn't have anything to say about Dungeons & Dragons. It makes it way worse than Mazes and Monsters. It's an absolute disaster of a film. But anyway, I think I've been whittering on for quite long enough, so thank you very much for watching. But as always, most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.